Hello everyone, back tuning in today's video during JMA Friday. As always on a Friday, we're having a look at weather month ahead, and this is going to take us from August into September. So we're going into the first week of September with this update. So we'll be leaving behind meteorological summer and going into meteorological autumn, can you believe, with this update. Of course, it's questionable because the weather doesn't stick to defined periods, but it's easier when it comes to working out the numbers, and you have to have a defined period for the seasons, and summer is defined statistically as the 1st of June to the 31st of August. And then autumn is defined, of course, as the 1st of September to the 30th of November. So we begin autumn with this particular update today, and I'm going to show you the latest from the JMA and CFS-V2 models. Right now, we'll start off with the JMA 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods, and we'll have a look at the Northern Hemisphere view down, or the North Pole view down, I should say. So that's the North Pole just there. The mid-latitudes of the Northern Hemisphere are around here, and the British Isles is just there. Blue is extrapolating to below average heights, which is low pressure, and yellow, orange and red extrapolating to above average heights, which is high pressure. As I say, these are broken down into week periods. The first week period will take us from the 11th today through to the 18th of August. So the coming week is looking very, very unsettled with the JMA model. We've got below average heights to the north, to the west and over the UK. The jet stream indicated by the black lines here coming across the Atlantic and into Europe as well. So it does look very unsettled. That we're just about on the cool side of the jet, so you would expect temperatures to be cooler than average. And just a continuation of what we've been seeing really since the middle to last stages of July, when the pattern of the summer changed dramatically. It just continues through the next week with unsettled and cool conditions to come. And then no real improvement for week 2 either. So this is going from the 18th through to 25th of August. Summer really ticking on now, of course, into the final stages of the summer. And below average heights remain set around the British Isles. There's quite a deep trough, and in the Atlantic too. The jet stream's coming through like that. So we remain just about on the cool side of the jet. We remain unsettled, showers or longer spells of rain, and I think it would be generally a little bit on the cool side as well. And then we go through to weeks 3 and 4, which takes us from the 25th of August through to the 8th of September. Signs of a bit of a change here. Remember, this is a 2-weekly anomaly, so it might be transitional. You might get one pattern in week 3 and a different pattern in week 4, for example. We do still have quite a deep trough through the Atlantic out here. Otherwise, not a huge amount going on. Actually, heights are returning close to average around the UK. So I think that may be transitional. It might be about the third week. Week 3 is rather unsettled and changeable still. Maybe week 4 is a little bit warmer and drier. Perhaps that will take us into the start of September. It's always difficult to work out these 2-weekly anomalies. So have a look at how the temperatures and precipitation are doing over next month with the JMA. We're going to have a look at the tropical and mid-latitude view next. This is the equator of the world just there. We've got the southern hemisphere to the south of the equator, and then the northern hemisphere to the north of the equator, of course. The polar regions are off the chart on this particular view. We just have a look at the pole view down though, of course. So North Pole is up here, and then the South Pole is down there. And of course we've got America just here, and Canada is there. We've got Asia over here and down there, and of course we've got Europe over here, and most importantly of all for us is that British Isles is in the top right hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it right now. Everybody knows where everybody is. We're going to have a look at the week 1 height anomaly to start off with. So again, this is the 11th to the 18th. It's looked very unsettled, low pressure in the Atlantic and into UK on the cool side of jet stream as well. You'd expect this to be a wet week, and that's what the model is showing. Above average precipitation coming up in the week ahead. And temperatures are doing very poorly as well. They're coming out below average for the week ahead with the temperature anomaly. Still looks very unsettled as we go through into week 2 as well. Low pressure as a trough remains set very close to the UK and over UK in the 500 millibar flow from the 11th to the 25th. Therefore, rainfall remains above average, so above average precipitation again for that week, and also temperatures there coming out cooler than average as well. And I think this would lock us into a cooler than average and wetter than average August. It would be our first cooler than average month of the year as well, so quite notable. We go through to weeks 3 and 4, which is the 25th of August through to the 8th of September, and that's when we got heights beginning to go back closer to average around the UK and also around much of Europe as well. So we've got a drying trend here. The precipitation is going on to the drier than average side there as we're ending August, going into the start of September, and temperatures are beginning to stage a bit of a recovery as well. Still a bit cooler than average out to our west-southwest, but going a little bit warmer than average actually for many parts of the country. So that does imply an improvement for the end of August into start of September. It's transitional, and that's why the height anomaly looked a little bit strange. It is a transitional period, but overall it is indicating a warmer and drier spell setting up as I would assume, particularly get through to the start of September. Right, CFS V2 next. Let's see how that's looking for the next month. So again, we're coming back to 500 millibar height anomalies from the North Pole down. That's the North Pole there, of course. British Isles is just there. This is the anomaly for the 11th through to the 17th of August. So this one looks unsettled, perhaps not quite as unsettled as what the JMA is doing, but average heights up to the north. Have got a bit of ridging over in the eastern part of Europe and a ridge out in the Atlantic, but I think this trough is probably extending down here a little bit like that. Perhaps not quite as unsettled, though, for the week ahead as what we saw from the JMA. Now we go through to week 2, which is the 18th through 24th of August. This looks very unsettled. A deep trough now is centering right over top of the UK, and we've got this blocking up here as well. This is a blocking feature setting up to our north. That's never a very good sign at this time of year. We have got a bit of high pressure down across Spain and Portugal, but I don't think it's doing much for us really. We're on the cool side of the jet going something rather like that. This does look very cool and unsettled there from the 18th to the 24th of August. Week 3 is looking like this. We're closing out August on an unsettled note. This takes us from the 25th through to the 31st, and below average heights are just centred as a trough within the 500 millibar flow across the country. Jet streams digging down rather like that as well, so that looks cool and unsettled as we go to the end of August. And what about week 4? Do we get an improvement for the start of September? Well, with CFS V2 this morning, not really. Actually, the first week of September is looking unsettled here. This is from the 1st through to the 7th of September. And we've still got this trough in place in the 500 millibar flow over the top of the country. You haven't got much ridging. The Azores High quite a long way away from us, and up here as well. And we're doing something a bit like that with the jet stream. So even into September, it looks like we're keeping things pretty cool and pretty unsettled here with the CFS V2. And that is a little bit of the odds with what we just saw from the JMA. We'll rattle through these very quickly because they're going to be quite dismal, I'm afraid. The temperature anomaly from the CFS V2 for the week ahead is coming out significantly cooler than average. The week 2 temperature anomaly, this takes us from the 18th, 24th, that's coming out cooler than average as well. The scale is along here, so we're talking about anything down to around a couple of degrees below average there from the 18th to 24th of August, quite substantially below average. Week 3, which is the 25th to the 31st of August, that is also cooler than average, and then we round it all off with week 4, which is the 1st through to the 7th of September, and that one coming out cooler than average as well. So this is a prolonged cool spell that we've got setting up here if the CFS is right. We've already been in a cool period through August so far. It would be a cooler than average month, obviously, our first of the year if this came off. And it does see it continuing even into the start of September. For temperature, for precipitation, I should say, anomalies. So the week ahead actually is looking a little bit drier than average, maybe surprisingly, and I'm not sure about that at all, because we are in more very unsettled weather. We may get a drier interlude sort of over the weekend, but next week it's looking quite wet again, so I'm a little bit dubious about that, to say the least. Expect the week ahead to be wetter, more in line with what the JMA is showing than that indicates. Then week 2, that probably looks right. The 18th to 24th is coming out wetter than average. Week 3 just goes to average with the precipitation. Given the height anomaly, I would expect that to be a bit wetter than average. And then week 4, again, the signal is much weaker, as it always is for weeks 3 and 4. But overall, I would have thought on the wetter than average side with those cool temperatures as we go into the first week of September. So it's not great, to say the least. It looks like we're in for our first cooler than average month of the year. That is becoming more of a possibility, I think, that we're going to come out a bit on the cooler than average side. And as far as precipitation is concerned, unsettled really for the foreseeable future. As we go into September, there's a little bit of disagreement there. But JMA, I think it's hinting at something a bit warmer and drier at the start of September, which is typical what we tend to get in September. But the CFS just wants to keep things unsettled even into the start of September. We will wait and see on that, of course. But the main thing to take from this update this week, JMA Friday this week, is August looking increasingly likely to be our first cooler than average month of the year. Right, weekend forecast tomorrow. There'll be a lot of unsettled weather to discuss in that. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.